You're listening to a Brawl Network production, and this is Meanie's Bird Recap.
Can you feel that thing that's oozing out your doggone hands? That thing that's beating your doggone chest right now. Can you feel it?
Win or lose, these guys will be here for you after every single game.
Do you think you're better than me?
Here are your hosts, Giovanni Hamilton, Conor Myles, and ECW Original, the Blue Meanie.
All right, thanks for tuning in to Eagles Brawl of the Brawl Network. This is Meanie's Birds Recap right here on Eagles Brawl, powered by Fanatics, Manscaped, and DraftKings. Thank you all for tuning in. And in honor of this episode, we're going to dedicate this episode to Roddy McLeod. Shout out to the defensive captain this year, if you asked me. Stepped up and replaced Malcolm Jenkins in the best way we could have asked him to. Really, he proved to be the correct safety, the one to invest in moving forward. So shout out to Roddy McLeod. He's out for the season now. We're going to miss you, bud. Your presence will be surely missed right off the bat. But Dakota is right. We got to win, baby. Let's go. The Jalen Hurts era.
The crowd goes wild.
I feel like this is like your I mean, this probably isn't your first recap episode where we're off a win, but I mean, it's got to be your second at least, if that.
This might be my first.
This is how sad 2020 is gone.
This is the second one.
Is it the second one, Giovanni?
Yeah.
I was just making sure because I'm like, dude, I feel like they never win. And we were just talking about losses.
Your memory's a lot better than mine, Gio. Your mind's a little bit fresher than mine. But if you say it's the second, then the way this season's gone, how can you tell? You know,
only 4 wins, anyways, at this point. I mean, but let's talk positives. I mean, Jalen Hurts.
Oh, absolutely.
Woo, boy.
Yeah,
game. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Shade is right. That is the Dallas game we had the recap
Yeah,
show.
that's the one we did. Yeah, I was right.
And who we got up here?
I agree, Kyle. Here, this is definitely they did have rhythm. That's the one thing I can say about the offense this week is that when I was sitting there expecting things to fall apart. Honestly,
right.
I was expecting the offense to completely fall on their face. Second half wasn't the prettiest, but I'll tell you right now, Jalen Hurts has that swag.
Right.
There's some swag to that.
Yeah, it's just halftime's a matter of adjustments. So of course, the Saints made a couple adjustments at halftime, but the most important thing is the Eagles didn't, fold. They had the one fumble with Hurts, which, I mean, it wasn't like a sloppy mistake. A guy on it, he just went in and punched it right out. So
if we can live with Carson Wentz's fumbles, we can definitely live with that one.
Dude, compared to what it was, leading up to this game, I'll take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you guys notice that we won that game for another reason because our defense actually stopped them in the second half? That's unlike our defense this year.
That's a very good point. That's a very good
defense.
The
defense played really well.
Because our offense was on.
The offense is actually being productive.
Yeah.
And I agree with this. 2 100-yard rushers. They ran the ball, and they were successful doing so against the number 1 defense in football. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like, how many times have I said leading up to this show or up to this game, Doug's been pass happy. He's a former quarterback, and he's, heir apparent. He was, back up to Brett Favre. So he's the gun, gunslinger junior, pass. Imagine what happens when you run the ball. Good things happen and amazing things happen, busted off an 80-yard run with Miles Sanders. And then, Jalen Hurts, he was doing some, he's so fast.
As a rookie, I remember Carson Wentz's first start. I'm sure as everybody else who's tuned in and you guys are as well. Jalen Hurts' demeanor was incredibly calm. It was infectious. That whole team looked like they knew they were going to win that game. It's not saying that that's not the same under Carson Wentz, but I mean, the the spark was there. They needed the spark. He brought the spark. That was a great effort of a team win. And I mean, you got to ride Jalen Hurts for the rest of the season, obviously, right?
Jalen Hurts didn't look like a rookie out there. The confidence that he brought, he was just bringing the swag. Like, it felt like he had a few years under his belt in this league, and it was really nice to see that.
Yeah, so when it comes to Hurts, it seems like, he's, even before he came to the NFL, he had to overcome adversity a few times with, switching colleges. He got replaced by Tua, and then he went over to Oklahoma, and then did amazing stuff there. And so to come to Philly, and you're literally, I mean, he played a half in Green Bay, but the game is already lost at that point, kind of. He kind of brought him into it, but like to have a full game with a full week of reps with the starters, and then to go against, like Giovanni said, go against the number one defense in all of football, and not even have the slightest bit of Manning face where he looked cool, he looked calm, he looked collected, he looked like he belonged there. And you can't say that for a lot of rookies, playing their first game. Not only playing the first game, but playing against a great team like the New Orleans Saints.
I was just so happy to beat them. I was so happy to beat them. I know that everybody's talking about playing for the draft pick and not worrying about the rest of the season, but it was the Saints. It was different. Yeah. I needed them to beat the Saints. Finally. I was so tired of the Saints always beating us. But my thing was, what you just said, Meanie, was absolutely correct. I mean, this is a kid who was replaced by Tua at Alabama, goes to Oklahoma and finds out that he can actually really play the quarterback position pretty well. Gets drafted to a team where he's supposed to be the backup to a franchise quarterback. Comes in during the most unorthodox season in NFL history with coronavirus going on.
Yeah.
And that kid acted like that was left a walk in the park. He was like, I'm just going to go out here and do my job. That is a leader. It's a leader.
And no pun intended, but the beautiful thing about it is Sean Payton in his post-game press conference said Jalen hurt us. He got praise from Sean Payton, who not my favorite person on the planet, but he seems a little bit too full of himself. But Sean Payton even had to give recognition to what Jalen Hurts did, and also at this game, this win did feel good, man. I know I've said before that, you don't want to be the best of the worst, but then you also don't want to be the worst of the worst. I kind of want to be in the middle. I kind of want to, see what we could do with draft picks and stuff like that. But,
I want to be the best of the worst, to be completely honest. Yeah. I don't care our title. I want to be the best.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. It's just, I've been to this rodeo few times, we need to get some younger guys in there. We need to get some guys on the line.
Speaking of younger guys, name all the guys that you could name that stepped up yesterday that were impressive. Were all younger guys. Jordan Mailata, stud. That's the left tackle of the future. Jack Driscoll played really well. Josh Sweat played extremely well. He's 23 years old. Javon Hargrave, free agent edition. He's still pretty young and in the prime of his career, and only going to peak even more in this defense. He's finally adjusted to it. Duke Riley is a pretty young linebacker, and he actually really made some really noticeable plays yesterday. Rager, he's the future of this team, no matter what. I know people are debating if he's a wide receiver one. What is it? He's the future Z of this team, no matter what. He's a playmaker. And then here's Kathy's comment on the screen that Hurts reminds you of like a McNabb in his younger years. I know most would agree, but that's just my opinion. I agree with that. I think Jalen Hurts, if you remember Donovan McNabb from 1999, from 2002, you could see a little Jalen Hurts having that type of McNabb type game, but I think McNabb has the better overall arm talent. But I mean, I see a little bit McNabb in Jalen Hurts' game. I don't hate it. I like it. I like that comparison.
Another name that totally blew me away yesterday was Josh Sweat. I mean, he had a monster game besides the fact that he's probably got like the best name on the whole team. Josh Sweat sounds like a 90s R&B singer.
He's right.
Jams, but he had a monster game. He had at least one sack and one strip sack and stuff like that. So, Yeah, the younger guys definitely stepped up, but I would love to get them to have some more depth. There's a lot of old dogs on this team, and I think that's what's held us back. But also, I think the fact that we had a younger guy at the helm, Jalen Hurts, lit that spark. I think a lot of people were playing to help, to have Jalen have a good game. It's like old versus new. Nothing against Carson. Carson, our quarterback, for how long I don't know, but I love Carson Wentz. I appreciate everything he did, but there definitely seems to be a little bit of a disconnect there between him and Doug. And there's like 1 second, like a slow-mo thing where Carson's looking at Doug and Doug's looking at him.
Yeah. I texted that to Giovanni right away. I was like, "Oh man, did you see this?" And then Giovanni's like, "Side eye, oh no."
Dude, you could have put in the slow dramatic music like dun dun dun, and if a picture tells 1,000 words, and that didn't paint a pretty picture. What do you think, Gio?
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. From seeing last game and looking back on 2017, it feels like Doug Peterson plays better with second string quarterbacks. And it makes you wonder if he's teaching the second string quarterbacks the way he was taught because he was a second string.
That's a great point.
That is a really great point. Because 11-3 with his backup quarterbacks compared to, I forget the record well off the top of my head with Wentz, but it was.
I think he was 5-2 with Foles in the one season, and they had the other season. Might have been something like that. But he definitely has a better record with the back. He has not a better record, but he has a good record with backups, which is insane.
Alshon catching that touchdown, hilarious. I laughed. I just laughed. I literally I usually celebrate touchdowns. When he caught that, I was like, figures. And then he catches that touchdown, and then Josina Anderson remembers that she has a Twitter account.
Dude, that was my next line. That was my next line, Josina Anderson. Of course.
I don't understand what her stigma is with Wentz. I don't know what Alshon must have told her, but and again, I tweeted that out, and I got a little out of inappropriate comments, so don't leave them off here too. Still, I can't believe it. Whatever. It's crazy to be. But yeah, again, Alshon catch that touchdown pass. We were talking all night, Giovanni. This guy always likes to play with the backup quarterbacks in for some reason.
Yeah.
What do you think of him playing over Fulgham? Because you were wearing Travis Fulgham's jersey last night.
Dude, I have been talking about this ever since Alshon came back. I don't know what Doug thinks. I don't know why he put Alshon over Fulgham. Because Fulgham was getting a rhythm, and then he just got him out of it. And he's been dropping some passes now because you got him out of that rhythm. It doesn't work that way.
I don't understand how you go from this wide receiver that catches a touchdown pass over Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey in dramatic fashion to I'm going to play Quez Watkins even more than him. That's strange.
I don't understand. It's amazing how Alshon can catch balls now that Carson's not throwing them. And like you say, he seems to be more comfortable with. It's weird, Alshon's more. There's definitely something. It got to be something there between him, Alshon, and Carson, because when Alshon's playing, he catches better from the backups. But when Carson was playing with the rookie squad, he seemed more comfortable as a quarterback throwing to practice squad guys. So there's got to be something there in the mix between Alshon and Carson.
The fair argument to be had is that Carson is a completely different thrower than Foles and Jalen Hurts. And I actually thought Jalen Hurts and Foles, the way they throw a football, is kind of similar. They trust their wide receivers to make the plays, whereas Wentz trusts the tight end to make the plays, and then Wentz won't throw it to you unless you have some sort of separation. Where I think Hurts and Foles trusted their guys to make the play 9 times out of 10, especially Hurts. I mean, the way that he targets wide receivers, I haven't seen Carson Wentz do all season. The faith in the wide receivers, I should say. But I mean, it is absolutely asinine that, because I see the argument on Twitter saying maybe we overrated Travis Fulgham too quickly, and that's a fair argument. But I mean, the way that he played, that doesn't just happen out of nowhere. I mean, there's something to be built upon there, and I would disagree with somebody that says Doug Peters is not building upon it.
When it comes to Hurts, it's just I don't I think if there would have been more pressure if, like, say this was game 1 of the season, but season's kind of lost and he's coming in and it's basically, I think he's auditioning for next year. So maybe he figures I have nothing to lose. I'm the backup. Last 4 games of a really a meaningless season as far as the Eagles go. The last 4 games of the season, I'm just going to let it rip. What do I got to lose? What I love that you said he had more faith in his receivers, and the receivers getting separation and stuff like that. But he also looked more comfortable just getting out of the pocket. If there wasn't something there, he threw it away. He wasn't trying to play hero ball. He tried to extend plays to try to, so the receivers could get that separation. But if it wasn't there, he had no problem throwing it away. He didn't take the sack. He wasn't sacked at all, which was, it was a breath of fresh air. That was refreshing to see the quarterback not get killed by the opposing defense. But he looked poised. He looked confident. He looked like he's been in the NFL for a couple of years, let alone just a game and a half.
He navigated the pocket better than Wentz has all season long. It's just the truth. Like it's the flat out truth.
And that goes back to my point of I think when it comes to Carson, I think he still has lingering effects from that concussion that knocked him out the last season, where he's a situation where he might have been laser focused. Now he's just his judgment's clouded. I don't think it's a fact. I think he has faith in his receivers. I think maybe he doubts himself a little bit too. Maybe there's a little bit of self-doubt that creeps in, and that comes along with concussions as well. You start to when you have a serious injury like that, you start second guessing things, stuff like that. Do I want to continue to do this? I just had I have a wife, I have kid, I have a baby. Do I want to be coherent for them down the line? And like I said, hopefully it's not like an Andrew Luck situation either, where he's kind of second guessing things with being injured and stuff like that.
I think your point. To your point, really, I think he's second guessing himself on the football field, and that's what's played into this past season. I think you can't second guess yourself. Look at Jalen Hurts; he's not second guessing anything he does. Yeah. He's just going to go out there and play. Whatever happens. He gets out of his control, but he's going to try to just put his football team in chance to win. Giovanni, what do you think, man? Like, what do you think that was probably like the number one issue for Carson Wentz this season? Like, what was the number one issue? Do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe he still is recovering from that concussion, but I think I don't really think it's that. I think there's more to the story. I think that Doug Peterson has a short leash on him, and he's not letting him. Like last night, you saw Jalen Hurts roll out of the pocket, and he was running, and you really haven't seen that very much from Carson Wentz this year. I don't know if it's the fact that Doug has him on a short leash or he's scared.
I think you made an excellent point earlier that nobody has said yet, and I actually kind of blew me away because I'm like, that's a really good way to look at it. Maybe Doug just doesn't know how to coach Carson. Maybe he does know how to coach the backups because he can relate to the backup quarterback the most since that's all he was. Maybe watching the Brett Favres of the world, Dan Marino, maybe he knows Carson Wentz is incredibly talented. Let him do it all. Because there is a discussion I've seen online that Carson Wentz was checking out of Doug Peterson's plays at the line of scrimmage too much, and that's what was killing the execution part of this offense this season. And then Jalen Hurts goes in and doesn't do that much at all, and look what happens. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't really think anybody else does either, unless you're Carson Wentz or Doug Peterson. But I think that's a good point, Giovanni. Maybe Doug Peterson just coaches like he coaches Jalen Hurts different than he would coach Carson Wentz. Maybe he coaches Nick Foles different than he would coach Carson Wentz. Maybe there's something to that there. There might be something to dive into that theory. Like because from what it looks like to me, this team goes, Carson, here's the keys to the offense. You take it however you want to do it. Jalen, here's the passenger seat to the offense. We're gonna supply the run for you, though. I'm gonna take it from here. That's what it seems like to me. I think it's a really great point.
Yeah, it's definitely a great point. And it's also, when it comes to football, I think of football as a business too. And I think definitely, whether there's, some kind of disconnect between Doug and Carson to where, I mean, because like in Carson's earlier seasons, he would check out of the plays, kill.
Yeah.
And then something miraculous would happen, something great would happen. But I don't know if Carson's seeing the defense or reading the defense like he used to be able to do. But it's a business, so to Giovanni's point, he's probably better coaching the backup quarterbacks because he's a fellow backup quarterback. But also, I think he was coaching that game yesterday. He was coaching for his job, hopefully to say, see, I'm not the problem. Maybe it's Carson. He could be. That could have been his.
What happens when the quarterback executes my offense?
Hey, see, I called the plays. I called the offense. This is what happens when you have a quarterback who could run my offense, and he kind of inadvertently throws Carson underneath the bus. That way. It definitely saved Howie a little bit of grief too, because Josh Sweat was a Howie pick. Yeah, Rager was a Howie pick. Hurts is a Howie pick. They all played really good yesterday. Mulata is a Howie pick. They all played really good yesterday. They all looked like a cohesive team without Carson, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not piling on Carson Wentz. I love Carson Wentz. I love what he did in 2017. And the run we went on last year with him, taking the practice squad to the playoffs. The underdog story that he's been fighting uphill through. But yesterday, and again, it's just one game. It's just one game. We got, Arizona coming up. Things could happen within a week. Next week we'll be like, what were we thinking? Next Monday, But for right now, Jalen Hurts looked really good, and Doug seemed like he was coaching for his job yesterday.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that in my mind at all. Did yesterday's performance buy you guys back into Doug Peterson a little bit more? Because I feel like talking to you guys numerous times, it seemed like we were all out.
I haven't really put much thought into it. I don't know because if you look at it, if you look at the plays, he was calling some of the exact same plays that he was calling when Carson was in. It makes you wonder if Jalen just executed them better, or if Doug was calling them at the wrong time when Carson was in.
Good point. That's another good point. I just think, taking the emotions out of it, I think Carson Wentz struggled big time reading defenses this year to a point where I've never seen it be as much of a struggle before. I think there is still an argument to be made that the concussion factors into that. I completely agree. But, I mean, I have to say at the end of the day, Carson Wentz is playing mentionable football. It's just the truth. Do I still believe in Carson Wentz as a franchise quarterback of this team? Absolutely. You don't give up on that type of talent. You let him come back next year, and if you decide to move on from Doug Peterson, you let the new head coach decide and say, hey, who's going to be better in my system or not? And I don't want to use these guys to compare it and say the situation's going to be the same, but the way that they're going to go through it might be similar. When the Eagles were in 2012, they had Michael Vick on a huge. I always compare this season to 2012 because that's what it feels like to me. But when they had Michael Vick on a huge deal, $100 million, wasn't living up to it. They play the backup rookie when the season's going to crap in Nick Foles. And then they go into next year and they have a quarterback battle with the new head coach. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. And then let the new head coach decide. And if the new head coach decides Carson Wentz is salvageable and that in my system, we're going to actually get to utilize his skill set better than Peterson, then it's fine. This game didn't buy me back in on Doug, but it at least showed me that maybe we shouldn't just all point our fingers at him. Maybe it's finally time we step back and let's not emotionally attach ourselves that much to Carson Wentz as we do, because I know we love him. I know we think he could be a talented quarterback in this league. He's shown us that. It's hard to let that go. It's hard to let it go once a quarterback shows you that he can play, especially with the Eagles. I mean, we haven't had a franchise quarterback since McNabb. We've had quarterback talent, but we haven't had consistency at the quarterback position since Donovan McNabb was there. It's always been in and out. Carson Wentz has showed us that. He's shown us the most talented quarterback, maybe in franchise history, on a talent standpoint. So I get it. It's hard for us to let go a little bit, but we have to detach ourselves from the situation, from him a little bit, and just realize he's playing benchable football this year. Jalen came in, he gave us the spark, and now look what's happening with Doug. But I again, like I've said it multiple times, you blame all three facets. You blame Doug, you blame Carson, you blame Howie.
Oh, absolutely.
I think what Giovanni is saying is right too. Maybe Doug has a better feel for calling the plays when the plays are being executed. Maybe he knows when is the right times to use a situational play calling when the plays are being executed better, like how they were with Jalen Hurts. So I don't know. Maybe it's interesting to see. I wonder if this victory brought back some of the viewers or some of the Eagles Nation in on Doug Peterson a little bit, because I see a bunch of comments right now saying no.
A complete overhaul from a quarterback standard or from the coaching standard?
I'm assuming Dakota wants to get rid of Howie and Doug and probably the rest of the coaching staff too.
Well, the one thing I don't see happening is them moving on from Howie, because he created this cap space mess, and the best way to manage this cap space mess is to kind of keep the guy who created it by, he created this mess by constantly pushing off contracts and restructure. Now with the cap, the way it is, and the mess we have right now, the best thing to do with, as crazy as it sounds, maybe keep Howie to manage the cap. Either way, in my feelings, my feeling of feelings, one of the two won't be here next year. Either Doug won't be here and Carson will be here, or Carson will be here and Doug won't be here. One of those two will not be here next year, because something needs to change. My biggest fear, and I kind of agree that you should bring him in over the summer, OTAs and all that stuff, have a quarterback competition. My fear is somehow, if you decide to go again with Carson for next year, and by chance he stinks it up again, any trade value you had for Carson Wentz goes down the drain. It just right now you could just go, oh well, it was this issue, that issue, but it's manageable. I could totally see Carson going to the Colts, and him and Frank Reich, they have the connection. They're both men of faith, and they seem to bond well here in Philadelphia. Now that
I thought Daryl Johnston was a little weird about that, though. I thought that was a little weird the way he was saying that. I'm like, all right, buddy, let's watch Jalen Hurts play. Let's not listen about this church fest. I'm trying to watch some football.
But it's
a good point. I understand what you're saying. I just thought that was weird, the timing of that, bringing that up in the football game when Jalen Hurts is trying to play football.
Well, the announcers, the people need something to talk about.
Yeah. Especially during this season.
It's all about the storyline. You got a 3-8 team playing the Saints. That they got the C squad announcers. We're not getting Joe Buck yourself and Troy Aikman, for this game. So you could tell how important this game was just by the announcing squad. But back to the point is the Colts have a quarterback right now that I don't see him being there next year. And Carson seems to have the most upside. And he also has a connection with the coach. And it might seem a little bit too obvious of a connection, but nonetheless, it's a connection. And sometimes, a change of scenery is the best thing. And with that said, I don't want to see Carson go. I wish Carson was here and playing better. But again, do you take that chance with, maybe bringing him back? It's like rolling the dice in Vegas. You got all the chips right there. You take that one spin and risk it. You can lose all, trade equity you have in Carson if he decides to. If not that he's going to decide to stink it up, but if he stinks it up again next year, what do you get for him? And then you still got all that money to pay him.
Yeah, I don't think Carson Wentz goes anywhere, though. I'm just going to tell you guys right now.
I think Doug goes before Carson.
I think so too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just making a point. I definitely don't.
Your point makes sense. I was just
gotta go.
I'm seeing a bunch of comments right now saying like, "Do you guys think Carson gets traded to here and this and that?" And like, I don't think it's going to happen at all. Honestly, I don't. Real quick, football is here, and so is your shot at millions. Thanks to our partnership with DraftKings, all new players can play for free for millions. Your first deposit. Create a DFS account with DraftKings and put in a minimum deposit of $5, just $5. Then DraftKings will credit your account with a free entry to contest weekly. Go to dkng.co/brawlpod, BRAWLPOD, to win millions. And I'll say this right now for the viewers that are watching. If you play Jalen Hurts in your DraftKings lineup this week and you screenshot it to me after the games happen, not before, because you can change that. If you screenshot it to me after the games happen, I will send you a Philly Sports with Giovanni hoodie. Go to manscaped.com. Use promo code BRAWL, BRAWL, to get 20% off your purchase plus free shipping. We know that Doug lost his balls during the season. He got them back. He used promo code BRAWL, BRAWL. He got 20% off plus free shipping. And he named Jalen Hurts a starting quarterback, and they won against the New Orleans Saints.
It was definitely a hairy situation.
It was a very hairy situation. He cleaned it up with Manscaped thanks to Eagles Brawl. All right, guys.
Where do we go from there?
Look, I wanted to save this talk from Giovanni because I think he'll probably bring the most realistic perspective about this. Giovanni, they're not getting rid of Carson Wentz. Can you please tell people?
They're not getting rid of Carson Wentz.
Why don't you think they're not going to get rid of Carson Wentz?
Because they've literally invested everything in this quarterback. They're not going to give up on him after one bad season.
In 2018, Carson Wentz goes down. He's injured. His back's hurt. I get that. But it was an injury that progressed for a while, and his play deteriorated because of it. The Eagles finally pulled the plug because they're like, you know what? He's not going to get any better. We have to let him reset and heal up. I feel like this situation is no different because when you drafted Jalen Hurts, you firmly believed he was going to be your talented backup quarterback to Carson Wentz on a rookie contract. So if Carson Wentz goes down, you have a talented backup going in. That's not getting paid much. You didn't expect Carson Wentz to self-implode this way. You didn't. I mean, that's just not what the Eagles were thinking. And if you think they were, you're wrong. So he does. They realize if we keep letting him play, he's going to continue to self-implode even more. Let's put the backup in who has potential. Let's see what we have in him. Let's see what we can do if he provides some kind of spark, and then we'll go from there and reevaluate in the offseason. I agree with Giovanni. I know the contract is prohibitive, and I feel like you can make that work if the player doesn't want to leave, but I don't think Jeff Leary wants to give up on Carson Wentz so quickly. I mean, we can't forget how much they recruited this guy. I mean, they went out to dinner in North Dakota with him. They were so in on Carson Wentz. They gave him that injection when he was coming off that back injury, and they didn't have to give that to him. They didn't have to pay him all that money. They could have waited. They didn't. They had so much faith in him, and they gave it to him now. Now, do I think his play this year should leave them questioning things a little bit? Sure. But, hey, I mean, you have a pretty good insurance policy in Jalen Hurts for what it looks like to me. I don't think they get rid of Carson Wentz next season. I think they give it another shot. And if anything, Doug Peterson goes. Now, I don't know if Doug's ever going to give up play calling. I don't know if he's ever going to be okay with some offensive coordinator coming in here and being in charge of play calling. I don't see it happening, at least for the long term. I feel like Doug wants to have some kind of say in it no matter what. I don't think that's what the Eagles want to go with now. If I'm Jeffrey Lurie and I'm Howie Roseman and you want to move to this 11 personnel offense like you seem like you want to do, like Ed's reported multiple times on the show that they want to do, I don't think Doug Peterson can help you get there. I think Doug Peterson can't coach on a 12 personnel offense. So if you want to shift the gears, you want to get rid of Zach Ertz, you want to go in on Dallas Goedert, you want to run 3 wide receiver sets more, I don't know if Doug's the coach for you for the long term. And I still think this game against the Saints doesn't change that. You have a lot of questions this offseason. You have to ask Doug Peterson when you sit him down at the end of the year evaluations.
Yeah, the Eagles really went in on the drafting of Carson, and he looked great in 2017. I mean, in pre-draft and stuff like that. But stuff happens. That the leg injury happens. Totally not his fault. I mean, if anybody would have been hit with that hit that and I was there for that game, and it was just a gruesome hit. So he comes back from the knee injury, and then his base starts having the back problems, which, as somebody who's had multiple knee injuries, when you start, when you say I have a knee injury, my other parts of my body start to overcompensate for that thing, and that's where I think he started having the back issues. So he has that disastrous game in Dallas where he looks skittish. So they pull him and they bring Foles back, and then they go on another run to the playoffs. So there's that, and then next the following season, everybody's injured around him, and he rallies back and he brings the team back, like I said, with the practice squad guys, and goes to the playoffs in his first ever playoff game. And then he gets that hit and gets that concussion. And what tells me about how serious, and I hate to keep harping on this, the whole thing with the concussion is, I think the whole Jalen Hurts draft pick had everything to do with Carson's state of mind, mental state, going into that offseason and just recover. I mean, he got hit. He didn't even know his name on the sideline. And then there's, talking with him in the offseason, I think they went, oh man, you always need to have a good backup. And they learned that with Nick Foles, and then you have a younger backup. But I think they saw the effects of that concussion. I think they said, man, we need a plan B here just in case Carson decides to, and
a good plan B at that.
That's
what they did.
As much as Howie wants to say it's because he regrets not drafting Russell Wilson. This was his chance to draft the next Russell Wilson. I think it had to do more with, where's Carson going to go now? Where's his mind and all that stuff? So I think, I had a thought there and it dissipated in the ether, but definitely I think, I think either the next 3 games are going to tell us what we're going to see next year, as far as whether Doug's here or Carson's here. And I think it's going to be a game of one-upmanship with, Doug coaching for his job to stay here with the Eagles again. Like I said, all he has to do is go, see, I called the plays. They were executed. Hurts executed them. Stuff like that. I think there's something, definitely a rift there between the coach and Carson. But they have all this money invested in Carson, but they Elliot Short-Barks broke down the financials of it, which thank God he did, because I couldn't do it. But the Eagles would actually be saving maybe $30 million if they were to trade Carson in cap space. But if they keep Carson, they're in some kind of cap space hell. So who knows? The next games coming up, I think will really be the tell, because how can you be Carson Wentz and have this kid be your backup? I mean, he already had went into the other season with the ghost of Nick Foles looming over his shoulders. I mean, Nick Foles has a statue outside the building where he plays every week. Of course, Bud Light paid for it, and the Eagles didn't put it there. But there's a statue to his backup. Now they got this other kid that everybody's going to be calling for. Philly's always had some kind of quarterback controversy, whether it's Randall replacing Jaworski and Rodney Pete replacing Randall, and then everybody wanting AJ Feely to replace McNabb, and then
I remember that. Yeah,
eventually,
2003.
And eventually they replaced him with Kevin Cobb, and we saw how that went. Then everybody wanted Vic to replace Cobb. There's always been some kind of rotating quarterback controversy in Philly, and I don't see this one going away anytime soon. Carson's always going to have to look over his shoulder with Jalen Hurts in the building. That's my long-winded answer. That's what I was trying to get to, but
yeah, woo! Take a breath, man. I mean, I don't know if I precisely agree with this comment, because I think 2017 Carson had a lot of things going right for him.
I think a lot of 2020 Carson play might have had to do with looking over his shoulder, at Jalen Hurts.
Oh yeah, there's a mental side to it,
dude. That draft, if I'm Carson Wentz and I'm sitting at home and they draft a quarterback in the second round, I'd be like, what did I do to these people for them to? I finally got out of the shadow of Nick Foles, and now you're going to bring in this, this stud quarterback, sit behind me in the bench.
Well, that's
this move, and
that's what goes into.
They've done Carson favors. They've done Carson favors,
and that's what goes into my point about him second guessing everything he does on the football field. Because not only does he have to second guess it, because the concussion probably affected him, but he has a guy in the sideline with a lot of potential. But the 2017 offense, a lot of things went right for that offense. A lot of things went precise. I haven't seen it since, and it's not just Carson's fault, because I saw, like you said, Carson once played very, very good football last year. I just don't see the talent around him matching what they did in 2017, and it has to in order for him to have that type of success. I think you have a bounce back year, though. I think you have a 2019 type bounce back year next year I just think the offense has to change. They have to have a new system. It can't be what Doug Peterson keeps calling out there. It's nothing but vanilla.
Right.
Want some chocolate?
Yeah. And that's what I've said too. His offense is, his offense is like his favorite ice cream, vanilla. But like I said, he's coaching for his job. He's coaching for his dinner right now. But then again, you always hear the rumors of him saying he's, he wouldn't be upset if he gets fired. But then again, who wants to get fired? Nobody. Well, everybody goes into this job knowing you're hired to be fired. But I think right now he's coaching for his job to stay here in Philly.
For his job here in Philly, and for around the league to hire him after that doesn't work out.
Yeah,
I thought Hurts. I've said it last week too after the Green Bay game, because I was going off this comment right here. How do you guys rate Hurts as a passer so far? Elite runner, but not many passing plays on tape yet. I saw in the comment section, and I completely agree with it. The wide receivers are still struggling to get open and create separation. So I think that's what went into a lot of Hurts' runs yesterday. But look, the arm strength is never going to be what Carson Wentz's arm strength is, and if you accept that already, then you'll be fine. But the dude is a precise touch passer. He puts the ball, and his ball placement's incredible. He puts the ball right where the wide receivers needed to make a play with their hands. But again, he has a hitch in his throwing motion that needs to be sorted out and needs development on. His mechanics still need work. He doesn't get his feet set immediately right away, but he looks like a rookie quarterback. And again, like I said, he doesn't have the arm strength of a Carson Wentz, but you don't need that in the National Football League to win. Arm strength isn't the end of all ends. Everybody loves the shiny Mercedes, but if you can get a good Honda Civic that runs for 20 years, I think you think you got your money's worth there. I think Jalen Hurts will do enough as a passer to put you in position to win football games. I think he can be an efficient passer at that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that Jalen can do it. But Carson's still my guy. I'm still on the Carson Wentz train, as always.
Yeah. It's totally understandable. I think
we're both.
There's everything to love about Carson Wentz. He's a quality human being, and he's a great player. It's just a matter of is he too broken in this city?
Look, I'm on the Philadelphia Eagles train. Enough of this always trying to pick apart guys in the same jersey. Like who we have to be on this side, we have to be on that side. I'm on the side that helps the Philadelphia Eagles win. I love Carson to death. Have him on my wall back here. Took a selfie with the guy. Will forever love him. And what him and Giovanni, their relationship together has actually like been one of the most inspiring things in Philadelphia. Brings brings so many people together. And I mean, it's made us find Giovanni. Without Carson Wentz, I don't know how we find you, Giovanni. So I love Carson to death, but I need to. We also need to just accept the fact that he wasn't playing good enough football this year to put the Philadelphia Eagles in position to win. That's why this quarterback switch had to happen. But that doesn't mean we're giving up on him going forward. That doesn't mean we're out of Carson Wentz. I mean, there's always another season that's going to happen next year, and I'm pretty certain he's going to be here for it. But I hate that there's always got to be sides to it. Like we cheer for the wings on the helmet, guys. Like if Carson's not in there, I'm like you guys were cheering the same way when Nick Foles was in there. When Josh McCown was in there.
And I was the biggest Carson defender when people thought we should have kept Nick Foles, you know?
So was I, absolutely. I'm still
going, they're making a mistake not keeping Nick Foles. I was like, no, Carson Wentz is the future of this team, you know?
More talented.
Yeah.
It was an easy choice.
Yeah.
It was really an easy choice. It's just now he's struggling, and you see a lot of the flaws, and there's a younger guy with potential in here. I'm tired of talking about what they could have done back then with Foles and all that stuff. And I think that
I'm sick of hearing. I love
it's not even just you though, but it's like I still hear media people talk about it. Richard Sherman just came out on a podcast on Pro Football Focus and said that's what the Eagles should have done. When a guy fits the system, you take the guy who fits the system.
Richard Sherman could go kick rocks. I'm tired.
Seriously though, I'm like, oh, why? Like,
I hate Richard Sherman. Oh, I don't hate Richard Sherman. I'm just tired of hearing Richard Sherman talk about our quarterbacks. He can go kick
Michael Bennett too. It's Michael Bennett went on Chris Long's podcast and was like they should have kept Nick Foles like a couple months ago. Like, that decision was the easiest decision to make. This decision, I hate. You can't even compare it now. It's completely two different situations because Carson Wentz is not the same mentally quarterback that he was back then.
Yeah,
and now you have Jalen Hurts, who is nothing but potential, nothing but unknown.
Yeah.
So silly, but I think what this comment goes right here is. It goes into what Meanie's been saying the last couple episodes is that I think the concussion effects showed way more when he was in the pocket than it did any year prior. I think he did refuse to roll out a couple times. And I'm
making that assertion from something Carson actually said in the press conference, and I'm astounded that the Philly media or the national media hasn't picked up on the whole concussion thing. He said something about his concussion. In one of these press conferences past couple weeks, and right,
you're the only one who really focuses on it. Like we're the only episode. I've listened to other Eagles podcasts because I love all Eagles coverage, but I have not heard anyone really go into detail of blaming this concussion to what we have as a look. We're all pointing at like what the heck happened. Like
he's got the mechanics. He's got the mechanics. He's a stud athlete. He's got a great arm, great mechanics.
He doesn't have the same feel for the game as he has in years prior, and it's pretty noticeable.
Yeah, he's gun shy. He's gun shy.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't get back to that way though. You don't give up on that when somebody's like that way. What I think the decision goes from here is what you're saying completely is Jalen Hurts gives Doug Peterson the best chance to secure his job in Philadelphia or to keep his job in Philadelphia right now. Carson Wentz was only deteriorating more and more the more you played him. Let him get off the field, mentally reset, which I don't know how you can mentally reset when your young rookie quarterback's in there winning games for you. But at least let him get back into the mold that he needs to come back and compete for his job and show the world, show Philadelphia Eagles fans, show the organization, show everybody that he could be that Carson Wentz he was in 2017. He could be the Carson Wentz he was in 2019. Like, let it rip.
I'm begging for it. I'm begging.
I still can't believe Treviño Clowney wasn't flagged for that either. That was
That's the
awful.
second time. That's the second time Clowney almost killed one of our quarterbacks. He almost ripped Nick Foles' head.
Yeah, he almost ripped his head off. Yep. And wait until Jalen Hurts takes more of these hits too, and the refs don't call it because he's a mobile quarterback.
Yeah,
just wait for it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if you guys agree with this because I was going to bring this point onto the show. Does Jalen Hurts remind you guys of Cam Newton as a runner?
You go first, Gio. I've hogged up enough time.
Yeah, In a way, if you look back a few years ago at Cam Newton's film and then put it side by side to Jalen Hurts, you can definitely see some resemblance there.
Absolutely. I mean, power runners.
Mhm.
Power runners for quarterbacks, then that's not very common.
It's like he reminds me of the guy navigating the party to get to the drink tray. Or, come on, coming through. Excuse me, come on. It just the way he navigated through. The defensive line was spectacular. I definitely see a comparison there. And speaking of deteriorating quarterbacks, I don't know what's going on with Cam. But
it's over.
That's it.
It's over. They got to draft a quarterback. It's
Yeah.
over for him.
What about a guy who came into the season with so much promise, showing his workout videos, and him and Belichick seemed like they're going to be this sure thing, and now they're talking about replacing him with the young guy. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Dante Culpepper, man, that's a name I haven't heard for a while. I kind of like it, Dakota. I think Jalen Hurts is just way more athletic than Dante Culpepper was, though.
Yeah,
Dante Culpepper was kind of a slouch, but I get it. He was kind of weird with his.
Yeah, he had a bit of a
shifty.
cannon for an arm.
Oh no, he had a cannon. No, Dante Culpepper was a good quarterback when he was with the Vikings in his prime. I just think that I like that because that's not what I've heard. Steve McNair is a good runner.
A lot of good fan chatter tonight. I'm really happy with everybody interacting with us tonight.
A lot of good comments tonight.
Huh?
How about you? I think this has probably been our best show yet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's a happy one.
50. Yeah, we're all a lot happier. I think. Yeah.
I was going to put over Giovanni's new do, but he's wearing a hat, man.
Oh, you should have saw him on the pregame show yesterday.
Dude, I saw that. Oh my God, I'm jealous. I'll get Mrs. Meanie to cut my hair just like that.
I was saying at the beginning of the show, I was like, I can't stop focusing on his flow. He had the nicest flow going on.
Yep.
Dude,
loved it.
so
and
much
he picked the Manscaped MVP.
And profiling, baby.
Yeah.
Gio, man. Thank you.
Gio, we forgot to mention you predicted the Manscaped MVP.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I think it was
I've done it a few times this year.
You have. You've been hitting.
Yeah.
Of course, because you're the man. You study and watch tape, which I couldn't have the patience to do.
Well, when you love it that much, it's really easy to do.
Well, I mean, you're also about to be the head coach of the team.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hey,
you better get
maybe
started now.
that's what we need. This could be like a Disney movie.
Yep.
Disney's already made 2 movies about the Eagles. We got to have a third one with Giovanni as the coach. Why not?
Instead of Fearless, call it. Instead of Invincible and Fearless, we call it the Head Mastermind. So, are we dyeing it green again this week, Giovanni? Your mom is wondering, and we're all wondering now.
Stay tuned. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, probably.
Stay tuned.
Look at Giovanni with the tease. I'm impressed.
We do love the videos, the surprise videos during the week with the hey guys, here's my hair, we're gonna win, like the hype speeches. I saw people on Twitter were saying that you are the MVP of the season. I kind of agree.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
In a crap season that's been 2020, the bright spot's been Giovanni with his positivity, man. It's infectious.
Ooh, that's a good. If it stays green, if they win the division, it's just stay green all year. Ooh.
Oh yeah, no, I already had it planned to stay green forever now. So.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. At least we all know that for sure.
I also want to say congrats to Giovanni for being breaking news with having Carson reply to your tweet, man. What was that like?
That's pretty cool, man.
You got the first quote from Carson. Yeah, you got the first quote from Carson Wentz before the Philadelphia media did off after his benching. That's crazy.
Yep.
Did he slide into your DMs, or was that was just the crux of it? He just sent you the tweet.
It was a public thing, yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. Breaking news.
and then he put me on his Instagram story.
Yeah, he's
cool, man.
I saw that. He said more people need to be like you, which is the truth. But not only that, so you had Carson Wentz reply to your tweet this year, put you on his Instagram story, and then you had Dak Prescott DM you. Like, I think you're a little two-faced. Look at you beyond it now. Like, yeah, no big deal.
It's just old hat over here. Me and Giovanni.
You can hit up my mom on Twitter to request my business card.
Good stuff, man.
It's been a great year for Giovanni.
Giovanni, you definitely are inspirational, man. I see everything you go through, and you always got a smile on your face and a positive attitude, man. A lot of people could learn from following in your steps. Just always have a good outlook in life, man. You're my hero.
Thank you.
You're definitely my hero too. You already know, and I think you've been doing a great job with balancing your love for Carson Wentz and still cheering on Jalen Hurts, because I think in a world where we're always having to pick sides,
because
exactly,
we all wear a green jersey.
Yeah,
bingo. But that in a world where we're all picking sides, we have to stick together, because united we stand, divided we fall. Let's go, Jalen Hurts, baby. And Carson, I'm cheering for you to come back next year, my man.
He will.
Let's go.
He'll be back.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Oh, yeah. Giovanni, for the people that missed it yesterday, because Dakota just reminded me. What are you doing this week?
Oh, on Thursday, I believe. I'm going on a Zoom for an assembly at a school in North Dakota with Alex Singleton, and we're going to be talking to kids about bullying.
So
let's go.
Let's go, Gio, man.
It's going to be pretty cool.
With Alex Singleton.
Yep.
Linebacker 1 was like, I'm going to tag team with Gio. I'm bullying. Imagine seeing Giovanni and Alex Singleton at a bar. I would walk in a different direction. That's the guys you don't want to mess with. That's the guys you don't want to mess with at all. Oh, I love it, Giovanni. I can't wait to hear that speech. We got some great stuff coming for Philly Sports with Giovanni. I know we have another surprise that we're waiting on announcing, but it's going to be big. It's going to be big, trust me. So, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Can I announce the merch drop?
Oh, you can go ahead and do that for sure.
Okay. So, everyone, we have fine new Philly Sports with Giovanni merch coming out. It's Christmas edition. It's going to be limited. So you got to get when it's in the shop. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got Christmas lights, and I got a Christmas hat on. It's pretty cool.
How are you going to forget to mention our artist?
Jake.
No. That's not who the artist was. Jake refined it. Who was the actual artist?
The actual artist was someone. His name is my brother Dominic. The reason why I wasn't gonna mention it is because now he's gonna get all shy.
No. Is he in the other room right now?
Yeah, he is.
He watches this. Dominic, you created the shirts, buddy. You get all the glory. We're gonna give you all the glory for that. You're gonna get your fair cut. Have your people call Giovanni's people. We'll get it done for you, Dominic. His face is red. Oh, come on. Let's go. We need to get him back. We need to get him on the show sometime. Like, what's up, the creator of the Philly Sports with Giovanni Christmas gear?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Let's go. Dominic did make the art for the Philly Sports with Giovanni Christmas gear.
When you guys see it, you'll be like, wow, Dominic made that? That's pretty cool.
Or follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey,
great episode.
Real quick.
Oh, yeah, we have to give
besides this wonderful podcast I do every week here on Eagles Brawl Network, I also have my own podcast called Mind of the Meanie, which drops every Monday morning at 6 a.m. If you prefer watching or listening to your podcast on YouTube, go to youtube.com/Mind of the Meanie. If you would like to support the Blue Meanie, go to prowrestlingtees.com/Blue Meanie for all your Blue Meanie needs.
Philly Sports with Giovanni. We're gonna have to have. Are we doing Philly Sports with Giovanni this week? We got something planned.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yes, sir. That's what I like to hear. Eagles Brawl will have a bunch of content this week. The Kelly Green Show has some interviews up her sleeve, as always, with her killing content. She had Colleen Wolfe, Lisa Salters, and Jennifer Slay on her show already. She needs to relax. She's on fire. It's hard to keep up with her at this point. We're all Giovanni and I are all sitting here like writing down ideas of what to do on our shows to get close to Kelly. What she's doing now, she's killing it. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in to her shows. And Eagles will be back this week with a bunch of turning the page on all 22. Tyler, Ed, and I will give our analysts later this week. Philly Sports with Giovanni on. Check out the Mind of the Mood Blue Mini, and that does it for us, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Go Birds.